Hey, welcome into Real Talk Live. Tim Knox, Chelsea McKinney, Zach Walker. The boys and girl are back in town.
News team assemble.
Wow.
We've been gone for a while.
No, did anyone get that? Somebody had to get that reference.
No, I thought you had like a speech
Anchorman. Anchorman, Ron Burgundy comes
saw
back and
that,
he says, "News team assemble."
I saw that once, like 12 years ago.
Oh, I could watch it once a week
Well,
for 12 years probably. It's a fantastic movie.
I did a video with a buddy of mine the other day, and I was going to sign off using the Anchorman thing. What is it? Stay cool.
classy.
Stay classy. And I couldn't remember it, so I'm like, stay soft. I'm like, what?
What does that even mean?
I don't know. It just kind of came out. But anyway, we are live on Facebook Live, Real Talk. The team is back together. It's been a few weeks. Where have you been?
2 weeks ago, I think I had another 9 o'clock meeting, and then last week I was in Denver.
What were you doing in Denver?
Girls trip, last minute girls trip for my bestie's 31st birthday.
You have besties? This is my bestie. This is the sad state of my bestie right here. Who's your bestie? The guy with the beard.
Tiffany. Oh, you're talking about yourself.
My bestie.
My bestie's Tiffany, and she's got a birthday coming up. So happy birthday, girlfriend.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday
So
to
you went to Denver
you.
just for
her
kicks
birthday.
and grins?
We were there for like 48 hours, and
man, you really are living the life.
Living the dream.
So we had an experience with Frontier Airlines.
Yeah.
Who hasn't had an experience with it?
What was the problem?
If you fly with Frontier Airlines, you have an experience.
So we couldn't pass up the tickets because round trip tickets from Huntsville to Denver were $77
Cheap.
for a Friday through Sunday. Like perfect timing because weekends are great, right? But we got to the ticket counter 45 minutes before the flight because we were carrying on. And they were closing the ticket counter.
You mean you were carrying on, having fun, raising hell?
No, we were carrying on and not checking bags.
Carrying on luggage?
So we had a personal item, got there 45 minutes before the plane left, and the ticket counter was closing. And they closed the ticket counter and closed the flight while we were standing there, would not print our boarding passes, and then told us to go to TSA with the email confirmation that we had gotten from Frontier Airlines.
Oh, yeah, that should work.
And said, yeah, see if they'll take it. Obviously, they didn't, so we went back downstairs, and my bestie, who never takes no for an answer, she
made it happen.
She did a thing.
She carried on.
And we got on that plane. We had to cut like 10 people in line for security because by the time we got back up to security, there was like 20 people in line. And thankfully, people let us jump in front of them. And we got to the plane at departure time.
Yeah,
and they almost didn't let us on the plane. And then the plane was delayed 30 minutes, not because of us.
Ooh. So it sounds like a fun trip. See, that's why I hate to travel. So where have you been?
Oh, I was in a golf tournament 2 weeks ago.
Or in a deer stand.
No, in a golf tournament 2 weeks ago. Deer season was not open.
Okay.
But last week I just didn't feel well. And then I'm here, but I will be going to Baton Rouge next week to watch the Alabama Crimson Tide against LSU.
Are you going?
Can I get a Roll Tide?
No, I'm not going.
So I won't be here next week, but I don't feel bad about it because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Well, it's always difficult filling that chair, but we'll find someone with a pulse.
What are we going to talk about this morning?
You know what? It's been a couple of weeks since we've all been here. So what I thought we would talk about is the state of the real estate market going into fall. Because we have now gone from, we have 2 seasons. We have hot and cold. Well, we're going into cold now. So I thought we would talk about what's happening in the market out there. Is it slowing down? I know time on the market is still a big thing. So what are you seeing over, you work primarily Limestone County. What are you seeing over there as far as, is the market slowing down and how's the days on the market?
Yeah, I mean, so it's definitely slowing down. Our averages are different than they were. I think that I think you expect a slowdown this time of year.
Sure.
I think if you looked historically, which I don't have the data to support this, but I bet if you looked historically, it would be significantly better than previous years at this time because of the growth, the economic growth that we're experiencing in Limestone County and Madison County is going to support this real estate market for the next 5 years.
Right.
So really, no matter what happens on a national economic level, we are going to be insulated to that here. That being said, what it's done is it's created expectations for sellers that, well, I saw my buddy down the street sold his house in 24 hours. Well,
Right.
hey, your buddy down the street wasn't upside down on his loan, and he could price it in such a way that it made sense to buy that house. We just put an offer in yesterday, 24 hours on the market, didn't get accepted because the house was priced perfectly.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, if you want to talk about why the market's slowing down, I think that it's double-sided. I think clearly the market in and of itself is inherently slowing down
Seasonal.
at the time of year.
Yeah.
I think historically it would be significantly better than previous years at this time. But the other side of that is everybody feels like it's a seller's market. I can go get $180 a square foot for my house that was built in 1962 that I haven't touched
That is all
since
original.
79.
Yeah.
I did an update in 79, and now it's and that's going to inhibit your ability to sell quickly. I have found that if the house is priced right, it's going to sell quickly. Period. Because inventory is down statistically. What's our inventory down?
We've got stats for September. 654 homes sold last month. Inventory 1,646. That is about 600 less than this time last year. So that tells you the market is tighter. There's less inventory. And in some ways, that is a seller's market. But like you say, if your house is not appealing to buyers, it doesn't matter what the market's doing. You're not going to sell.
Well,
overnight.
we have 20% less inventory than we did last year at this time, give or take.
Yep.
And the thing about this time of year is certainly if I was going to move my family for one of these new jobs here in Limestone County, I would do it at the semester break so that my kids didn't have to go mid-semester or whatever. But that being said, it's not the summer where you've got the abundance of buyers who have to get in. People aren't going to settle right now like they might because January is still a long way off.
Yeah.
And so that next semester, I think at the end of December, it's possible that we see summer-like conditions in our marketplace simply because there's so many people moving in for these new jobs that it's gonna drive another flash in the pan style frenzy, if you will.
You deal mostly with your own houses. You do flips. You work with a lot of investment properties. What are you seeing any kind of change in your market? Because your market, you have to literally go find things.
Right.
You have to leave the cave,
My
go
market
kill
is-
something and drag it home. But are the deals still out there? What typically happens this time of year in your business?
I feel like this time of year I typically accumulate more houses. Like
Is it
last
because
year,
they're less expensive to
yeah,
buy?
and there's more opportunity. There just aren't as many people, honestly, right now looking to move property that aren't investors who are always looking to move property. But like last year at this time, between October and December, I think I bought 7 houses,
Wow.
and we've been doing them.
And that's what you've been
over the
working
course
on
of
all
the
since
year.
it got
Yeah.
warm.
So I mean, I don't know if I can do that again.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
we're doing the same thing out in Limestone, and I've got just get out, drive around, because if it's listed, it's probably not something that is going to fit the investor model.
Yeah.
And so I'm out driving around in these neighborhoods, calling for sale by owners, calling on, and even those folks are priced in such a way that, it's like the land grab that's happening right now. Someone's like, I got a piece of dirt, it's worth $40,000 an acre. Well, that may be true if it wasn't underwater and swampy, Army Corps engineers can't touch it. Like, it's not just inherently worth top of the market because you have it.
Yeah.
And so part of that, I think, it drives a lot of the statistics that we're seeing is because our job, I say this all the time, as a real estate agent, my job is not to sell anything. My job is to manage expectations and find my clients what they're looking for. Well, that managing expectations part of being a real estate professional is maybe the hardest part for a lot of real estate professionals to do because you so desperately want to go get that listing.
Right.
To go meet that objective for that quarter or that whatever that you go and do what you got to do to get the listing. And if they say they want to list it for $1 million, you're like, okay, I'll work for you. And it's like, well, at $1 million, it's going to sit there because it's worth $220,000. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, I think we can't just look at it as what's the market doing. It's not like just that. It's what the people, which I guess technically they are the market, but still a lot of that's driven on the individual side more so than the actual transactional business side.
Yeah, and I think, and you hit it right on the head. Part of our job is to actually, excuse me, educate our clients because they do. You know, my neighbor put their house on the market and it sold in 4 days. Why is mine still sitting here after 5 days? And so managing those expectations, we were talking before the show about average days on the market last month in Madison County were about 48 days. But that doesn't mean that house was bought and sold in 48 days. That simply means within that average date, they got a ratified contract. Now, whether that contract closed, we don't know. How long did it take to fund? We don't know.
I mean, I might be in the minority here because you were shaking your head like you knew this, but I didn't. I thought it was from list to close.
On days on the market?
Yeah, days on the market. Was
think that,
and it's not. And it was like, that was a, I mean, I just wonder how many people really know. When you say days on the market, what does it mean? Well, it means the date you got a ratified contract, not the date you closed. And so you can take that, and I would like to know what the average time is from contract to closing. I'd be willing to bet you it's in the 30-day, it's in the 30-day range. Yeah. You know, and so now you're looking at 80 days again. So last month when we looked at the stats and it was 89 days, that actually meant 120 days.
Yeah.
And so it's like that.
And that's what, as realtors, especially ones that list like we do, I think we've got 25 listings right now. We have to tell them, look, you may have a great house, but just because your neighbor's house sold quickly, and they always ask, well, and that's the first question we get, how quickly are you going to sell my house?
I know. I hate that question. What the heck?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have a glass ball. Do you want me to shake a magic 8 ball? And try? Yeah. I hate
so fired up.
Well, Zach does have a glass ball, and he can't tell you.
I know.
And, you know, and at the end of the day, we have to take these statistics. Like, it's like, I love these emergency room billboards.
Yeah.
That'll say our average wait time is 2 minutes. And so there was a day that I ended up in an urgent care facility, and my back had locked up, and I'm like, I can't move. I got to go to urgent care. And they took me from the lobby to my room as quickly as I could walk in and sign on a dotted line. But I sat there for an hour waiting for a doctor. Now, my wait time was 2 minutes.
In the waiting room.
Right. In the waiting room. And so I think, you know, in the same way as a real estate agent, we're real quick to throw out a days on the market if it's good. You know, if it's good, we're like, hey, I sold that in 48 hours.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm glad you didn't sell it though. You know, and we don't use that word.
Right.
We don't use that. It's under contract.
Nothing means anything until you are at the closing table and signatures are
until
on
after
paper.
until checks are flying around the room.
Stuff can still happen.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? Granted, I haven't been in this business years, but I've done a lot of closings in the short amount of time. I've had like very few go really smoothly. Typically, if we get, you know, a contract, there's the offer, you go to the negotiations, okay, it's ratified. Well, then you've got inspections, you've got appraisals, you've got the dreaded request for repairs, which I got to tell you, I've been told to do things with that request for repairs, which I don't think are physically possible.
I don't even want to talk about it. You know? I have had, so in the last 2 weeks, I've had 3 different requests for repairs come in that were 4 pages long.
Yeah. Just, I mean, they're nitpicking.
Pages long. And it's like, well, how about no? Because this house went under contract in 48 hours. So how about no?
Right.
And we'll go try this one more time. But it's just, you know, I think that the biggest key for us, though, is to translate this. What does this mean? What does this mean to you that you're trying to sell a house right now? What does it mean I'm thinking about selling a house right now? Well, 2 things. Interest rates are going up. Now they're starting to level out again, and they're going to have to self-correct. This is probably the correction that was needed. And so but now that means that if you've got a house and you want to move into a new house, say you're a growing family, whatever, and you've got 2,500 square feet, well, at 3.2%, you can go and afford that extra 500 square foot of house,
right? Because
that 1.8% from 3.2 to 5 over the course of 30 years makes a payment look very different.
Right.
And so now folks are like, well, I want to go buy a new house. Great. Go get that pre-approval letter at 5%, and let's look at that payment.
Yeah.
And so what I'm scared of is now people are going to reach even further at times and try to get more, because, well, it's a seller's market. I'll make up the difference on how much I sell my house for.
Yeah.
The reality is the market will absolutely correct you Every time it will.
Yeah, and if the market doesn't, the appraisal will.
Oh, let's talk about the appraisal.
Yeah, I mean,
We've
let's
already
do
been
it
there.
I
because
have a house being appraised right now.
ooh, fingers crossed.
And it's one of
Fingers
my
crossed.
own, and it's my favorite house ever.
So I've had
Are you
4.
attached to it now?
Mm-hmm.
She
I
get
love it.
attached to houses like I get attached to puppies.
I
You've got a lot of
love
puppies.
I do have a lot of
this house.
puppies.
I mean, I'm
Where is it?
gladly selling it, but I love
Is
this
it the
house.
one? Is it one of the flips you just turned out?
Did you sell? You had a contract on this one before it even started, right?
Yeah.
Those are nice.
Yeah, we're closing appraisal today. Hopefully, closing next week.
Yep.
But we're probably gonna have to do like an early occupancy.
But let's talk
Anyway.
about appraisals because I have had clients say, well, my house, and even if you run the comps, their house may comp for this amount, but the appraisal might come in behind and be less than comp.
Well, and we've talked about it. I've shared my feelings on that topic
Yeah.
very,
I know.
very bluntly. But again, when I've had an appraisal come in $3,500 off of a contract price, it's like, huh?
Yeah.
Like a house in Madison on Slaughter that has only appreciated by $2,500 in the course of the last 48 months. Like that's ridiculous. And so it used to be back before with early 2000s, mid 2000s, you told the appraiser what you needed the house to appraise at.
Yeah.
And that's what caused the situation that happened in 08 and whatever else. But to me, and the appraisal contingency is getting written into every contract because people know it.
Yeah.
And so it creates it's a disadvantage for the seller. The appraiser works for the lender who works for the buyer. And so it's just it's a system that needs maybe some tweaking or I don't know if our appraisers need to catch up, like do more time learning what the market's doing in market conditions because they can and should.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing. And I mean, I have friends who are appraisers and they say, the number we come back with is the number the research and the market gives us. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I had a property the other day they actually waived appraisal on.
Well, we did too.
The lender said,
the lender
we're
said,
good to
the lender
go,
said
yeah.
we're not going to do an appraisal. You've got to take that contingency out of there.
Yeah.
Were
And
they
it was like,
priced really well, like per square foot?
Mine was
Not
priced.
particularly.
Mine was priced right in line. But what and this was Stephen Allen with the mortgage firm said it. They looked at that area and those particular comps, and they were satisfied that with the age of the property and the way that it had been appreciating, they didn't have to do an appraisal because now if we'd been probably 10, 20 grand over on the price, maybe, but all of that fell in line. And
yeah, I had an appraisal
they're
come
rare.
back. Jeff Sandridge had a property that came back. The appraisal came back $45,000 short.
so
And hey, but check it out. In a week, it was appraised again, and it was fine. It's like, now, let me wrap my mind around this.
That's nuts.
Like, how in the world is it possible that in 1 week an appraiser could see a house $50,000 different?
It was the same appraiser?
Say, yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
how did that happen? I don't
They had to send them back for it. They you can request a review through the lender, yada 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 yada, and magically the appraiser came back.
That's
It's
so
absurd.
sketchy.
That's super sketchy.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
isn't everything subjective though when you're doing appraising and
yes,
even
it's
when you're
subjective.
pricing a house, we can look at the comps and we can look at what's selling and what's not selling, but really the price we come up with is still kind of
Well,
subjective.
that's what I mean, yes, there's an art to it.
Yeah.
Yes, there are people that are better at it than there are people that are not. But at the end of the day, when I do my CMAs and I'm trying to research a property where I want to price it at, like, all I'm doing is throwing an educated dart at a wall. That's all I'm doing, because at the end of, the market's going to decide.
Yeah.
It may be that, and we had the situation with that beautiful property that is actually closing this week on Coriander, where it was a beautiful house, but and we thought it was going to sell quickly. It was priced well, and then the layout was weird.
Yeah.
Because we staged it, the layout was no longer weird. The house went under contract, and so we can only do so much, and that's where real estate agents have to be very cautious, because and I tell every client that I list, I give them the very honest spiel. At the end of the day, I'm going to make a very educated guess, and I'm better at guessing than people that aren't professionals, but it's still a guess.
Yep. Yep. And that brings us back to the days on the market thing, which is again how quickly is my house going to sell is what we always get. And honestly, I think price and location, and condition are what drive how quickly a house sells. But I think also anything under $200,000 in Madison, even if it's full of corpses,
except for new construction, apparently, because
Really?
we have a client that's looking to acquire.
Is there new construction in Madison under 200K?
Yes, a lot of them.
It's out on the boundary.
So if you go
Desert Road.
No, so if you go, all right. So we had.
Desert Road.
So we have a client looking very specifically 4-bedroom, under 190, right at 190, that he's acquiring for rental properties. And for the record, if you're going to acquire rental properties, why would you not acquire new construction if the price per square foot is where it needs to be compared?
Right.
Because you've got the builder's warranty, your maintenance is clearly going to be lower on a 1-year-old house than it is a 20-year-old house, yada, yada, yada.
He's looking
And so,
for a rental for $190,000.
about 10 of them.
Okay.
What's he going to rent them for?
Right.
$2,000 a month?
$1,500 plus?
That does seem high.
That's super high.
Yep.
Sorry.
I'm just helping folks buy what they want to
Do
buy.
your thing.
But at the end, at the end of the day, like we searched within his parameters, had to be Bob Jones, James Clements. Okay, so we and there were 15 houses available. 12 of them were new construction.
Yeah. Well,
The other 3 went under contract before we could ever.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Honestly, I don't remember the last time I had a house in Madison. I think I had one on Springfield 4 hours we were under contract. But if you look at some other houses, like we have houses in Harvest, we have houses in Tony, Owens Crossroads, and they're in the more 225 to 300 range. And then we've got some that you've listed. We've got an $800,000 house coming on. You know, that's not, when your house is $800,000, the average days on the market in the MLS means nothing. And that's the moral to the story. You can't look at statistics like that and think your house falls into that parameter, right?
Well, and that's the age-old discussion of making. I mean, I can make an argument and use any statistic any way I want to if I ignore the context of the data, because data never lies. I mean, statistics will never lie, but you have to apply the exact same parameters to the exact same situation, and if it doesn't fit, those statistics no longer apply to you.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing that's hard to get through a client's head, love you, is they don't understand why their house is still sitting on the market.
Well, because they've got this big, beautiful home. And it's like, well, it's a big, beautiful home that 1% of the world's population can afford.
That's the point, yeah.
And so right now, I mean,
affordability has a whole lot to do with it.
We've got 2 listings that are taking up about 1.6 between 2 listings. And they're going to sell because they're beautiful, and somebody
will come along.
But it might just take a little extra time. Now, we had a short sale this week, $80,000 short sale. I had 3 offers before I could pass go for like 2
hours on the market.
Unbelievable to me. And so I think that should tell you something. If you know, it says that the average is 225. And that may be so, but I would be willing to bet you that the line share is skewed by some of the high-end homes that push that average up.
Yeah.
If you excluded houses over $500,000 and then took the average, I wonder what it would be. I bet it would be about $140,000.
Yeah, when you look at this, it says average sale price is $225,833. Median sale price, median means that this is the middle. From 0, if 204 is the middle, 400 is the top. Anything over 400, the way that I read these statistics, is taking a heck of a lot longer than 48 days on the market to sell. And we're seeing that. That's validated daily in our office.
And that's not rocket science. Like,
thank God.
Like, yeah, right? Like that's pretty common sense.
Right.
Like I will spend $1 on about anything, but if you want me to spend $1,000, I'm going to make sure that it might take me a little while to make that decision.
Yeah.
I'll flip 4 quarters out at whatever. And it's, again, common sense. Your favorite people, Rick and Bubba, say it all the time, right? Common sense is a superpower, and it is. I mean, at the end of the day, he loves Rick and Bubba. They're his favorite. I love them. Shout out to Rick and Bubba. But no, it just, the common sense piece disappears.
Jack Walker's in the house. Anyway,
you need to be on their show
I
that.
You would be great on.
to.
You need to ditch real estate and just go to work for Rick and Bubba.
I would love
Yeah.
to.
Well, what about this though? There are I forget days on the market. Some houses sell quickly, some houses take months, and some houses never sell at all. Why is
Yeah.
that? We looked at one in the MLS that had honestly been in there like 450 days.
There's a realtor who has a bunch of houses that
Alex?
he's trying to sell,
No,
like their personal houses,
Oh.
and he drops the price like $1 a day, and so he's always on the hot list. But they've been on the market like 2,000 plus days.
that's smart.
And
$1
there's
That's so
a day.
smart.
Many of
Doing
them.
it.
I do
Done.
that every Friday.
Stealing.
I'll toggle it to stay on the price drop list or the price change list.
See why she's
My
so
life,
smart?
my life
See?
just changed forever.
Mine too.
I've been transformed.
5 days on the market, just got left.
You're welcome.
Tammy Champion says, when you have a great realtor like I have, it will sell quickly.
I love Tammy. I'll tell you
Little
what,
pressure
she
there,
is.
Timbo.
Well, it's sold.
Okay.
And it,
Well, in
it
that
did
case,
sell
pressure-
quickly, but we have been, when we were talking about the inspection
Okay, yeah,
hell and that
okay.
sort of thing, and Tammy, God love her, has been patient as they come, and we're this close, this close to getting this done and getting them going.
But to be clear, go back to your point.
Yeah.
Why do because I saw a house this week. I was looking for that investor again. Madison. I mean, it's in one of the most desirable school districts in the state of Alabama, priced well, and it's been on the market for over 200 days. Why does that happen?
Yeah.
Has it ever been pending? Did you look at the history? It's always been active.
Because that was my first thought. Because what that would tell me is there's some
Something in an
inspection
inspection,
issues
right.
that are not going to allow
Yeah.
it to move, and so again, it goes back to the fact that
Neighborhood.
not terrible, older,
Condition.
older,
Homestead.
huh?
Eastfield at Homestead.
I don't know.
Off of Gooch.
I don't know what's on my head.
Oh, she's on you now.
Uh,
Where is it? Where is it?
I've opened a can of worms here. But no,
That particular neighborhood in a great school zone off of Gooch Lane has a very hard time selling houses.
Why is that?
I have no clue.
Yeah,
and
because-
the
well,
houses
here's-
that do sell have to be priced at like $70 a square foot.
that's
and that
crazy to me
Mhm.
because in Madison school districts right now, you could throw a turd in a punch bowl and sell that joker
Yeah.
in a day. I mean,
Yeah.
you just can.
Yeah.
Because there's not at the end of the day, Madison's not going to continue to grow. They physically can't,
No,
right?
we're
And so
bounded, yeah.
we're kind of bound, and so what is here is going to continue appreciating to the point of bubble at some point, probably.
Yeah.
And so it just blows my mind that you've got these separated pockets in that very same school zone that we were just talking about that for some reason will not sell.
Well, so let's go to South Huntsville real quick. I had my last flip that we sold. We sold in
Which was beautiful, by the way.
thank you.
So
24,
quickly,
24 hours, and it was priced at like 105 a square foot. That's great. Well, there is a house that went on the market here in the last like 2-3 weeks ago in that same neighborhood. It's a foreclosure, so it's a little different, but it's priced at like 140, and it's a 2,600 square foot house. However, it needs to be priced at about 100.
Right.
Based on what needs to go into
Right.
it. And so that's a foreclosure, that's a special case, but I think a lot of sellers don't take anything into consideration.
Well, the bank
about-
never takes it into consideration
about-
because the bank doesn't care.
Well, but looking at pricing
Yeah.
specifically and how long it's going to take to sell your house, I think a lot of people need a little bit of a reality check when it comes to
yeah.
it. Sure, if you,
Oh,
if you
yeah.
can live in it in the original state that you bought it in
Yeah.
15 years ago, that's great. That's awesome. But somebody else is going to want to come in and completely revamp it.
Right.
Well, and I had a breath of fresh air 2 days ago with a client in a very similar situation. Great neighborhood, South Huntsville, Grissom School District. The house, it's not far because I pulled up your flip to figure out kind of where everything was at. I'm not super familiar with that area, and I said, look, here's what you're going to spend to bring it up to what it needs to be, and here's what you could probably sell it for, so we could talk about flipping it after you move out, or here's a lower price that's significantly lower that is you walking away from a potential gain. And they were like, that makes all the sense in the world. We want to get rid of it. It's not worth what we thought it was worth. And it was like, I'm sorry,
Yeah, but
can you say that again? I'm sorry, let me hear that one more time.
Yeah. They are the
And that
exception to the
common
rule.
sense and that logic of it all, it just, that's what's missing. And
Yeah.
I think you're right. People do need to. It drives me crazy. It just drives me crazy because it's like just because you have it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that. I mean, if I drive a Honda, just because it's a car doesn't make it worth what a Lamborghini's worth.
Right. Yeah.
There's no world where anybody would walk into a Lamborghini dealership and be like, "Hey, I want a Honda Accord price
Yep.
on that."
Yeah. I want to trade in my Honda
But we
Accord.
will with our house.
Yeah.
But we will
Right.
with our house. We're gonna we want a Lamborghini price.
Yeah.
Then you should have bought a Lamborghini because right now you're driving a
Pinto.
yeah, exactly.
Hey guys, I hate to end this because
It's a good one.
We're
Starting
getting
to-
fired up here today.
Woo! Wow.
Yeah, who wants to stay put for another 30? 'Cause
Yeah.
there's-
Take a couple weeks off.
Or
This is
yeah,
such a
that's
good-
funny. You guys have been gone for 2 weeks. I'm over here snoozing, and y'all are a bundle of energy. So
It just means you need a Friday off, Tim.
Ah, gosh, I
Yeah.
spent the day yesterday
I'll
driving.
go live from
4
Baton
hours to
Rouge
buy
next
it.
week. How about
Would
Would
that?
Friday.
you give me a Friday off? I double dog dare you. I triple dog dare you, Zay.
Hey,
That
Anyway,
means I get a weekend off because I'm not going to be in Baton Rouge.
I will go live with my brother-in-law who's a mortgage broker in Louisiana next Friday,
There
and
you
you can
go.
take the weekend
There
off.
you go.
Perfect.
Give that a shot. We'll see how that works. Okay, we're going
Bet
to
it
call
works.
it here. I think the moral to this story is the market is slowing down because it is seasonal. Days on the market is a subjective number that may or may not apply to your home. And look to your realtor and make sure they're being honest with you. And
And don't ask how quickly or
How many days will-
or is my house going to sell.
What's your average days on the? I have that question. What's your average days on the market? I'm like,
No,
well, what do you mean? Do you mean to tell you about the $2 million piece of land or about the $120,000 house? Because they're very different.
every
They're very different.
house is different. Hey, if you would like to hear us ride and rant in person, we can do that. Zach, what do you got going on? How do they get a hold of you?
Well, I just want to use this opportunity to throw out the Find the Beard competition. So we'll be launching that this weekend.
Yes.
So if you see the truck, and if you've seen my truck, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you see my truck anywhere around town, take a picture of it, put it on social media, tag us in it, and we're going to give away one of these cool Yetis,
Which are amazing, and they cost like $1,000.
That's probably a little exaggerated, but
every
not
penny.
too much. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. I teased it last week. We're going to go ahead and make that live today, and so stay tuned for that. And good luck trying to find the beard.
There you
I
go.
found it outside.
Well, you take a picture, post to
Take a
social
picture,
media,
yeah.
and you'll be good to go.
Okay.
Chelsea, what do you got working?
I'm trying to finish this flip house that is so close and beautiful, and we're taking pictures on Monday, and I'm going to be
Awesome.
posting a whole bunch of before and afters because that's my favorite part.
I always
Awesome.
look forward to my Facebook feed when you finish a flip.
It's gorgeous. I mean,
Great.
it
And
is-
she
it
tags
has
me in all of them, and I'm
HGTV
just sitting there
quality.
like drool.
Yeah,
just kinda-
don't show them to your wife. So, and as always, if I can do anything for you when it comes to real estate, tim@revolved.com, or you can find me. I had someone the other day tell me that I was the most obnoxious Facebooker ever.
I don't disagree.
I think it was you who
It might have
said
been.
that. So, hey, my job here is done. So, hey, check us out, revolved.com. Really cool thing on our website, guys. You can go, and we have our entire video library on our website now. So they can see all of these shows. They can see the Ride and Rants. They can see the HGTV pilot. You can see the Bearded Ride and Rant. So check out revolved.com. In the meantime, if we can do anything for you, let us know. And
And
that's it.
roll
We're going to
Tide.
go.